Hello and welcome to Mad About Sports. Today we are back with another video as the cricket season is getting highly intense. As you all know, it is the beginning of the Border-Gavaskar Trophy. It is a much anticipated series of this year. Last time when it took place, it was one spectacle where India went on to defeat Australia in Australia by breaking the Gabba jinx, which Australia eluded for a long time against oppositions. But here, once again, it is going to begin with the four test matches, which is going to be played between India and Australia. And do remember, this is going to be the last time it is going to be a four test match cycle. From the next Border-Gavaskar Trophy onwards, it is going to be a five test match series. Similarly, like Ashes. As you all know, when we talk about Ashes, it is a historical rivalry. Similarly, Border Gavaskar Trophy in the recent past have also reached that sort of a rivalry where two teams are up against each other. You see entertaining cricket. Now let's talk about the history of Border Gavaskar Trophy. The first time ever Border-Gavaskar the trophy was introduced was in 1996. Since then, 15 Border-Gavaskar trophies have been played, out of which India won 9 and Australia won 5 of them. And one of the series ended up being a draw. Even there, India were the holders, where they were able to retain the trophy. Now, if you look, the last time around, Australia went on to defeat India in India was way back in 2004. It was one spectacle of a test series where it was Michael Clark's debut test series where Michael Clark had a brilliant show with the ball, and it was Nagpur who hosted the first test match, even there, where Australia ran through India. But since then, at home, India have been a formidable unit. And India touring away one country where India really tasted success in the last one decade is Australia. Only time India have gone on to Australia and defeat Australia not just once, twice in two series has been a spectacle because that was where one of the series where there was no David Warner, Steven Smith in 2019, where India went on to win the series 2-1, and come 2020 2021 where India had a lineup which was causing a lot of injuries, where a lot of players were out due to injuries, personal reasons. But even there, it was India who went on to topple Australia in Gabba. That's still fresh in all of our memories. But of course, it was Rishabh Pant's brilliance alongside some of the players as well, alongside Pujara, alongside Mohammad Siraj. India saw a rise of some new heroes in their cricketing folklore. Now here, it is going to be one exciting series for India and for Australia. Firstly, for India, there are a lot of stakes because India will be fighting for a spot in the WTC final. Today, ICC have announced the dates for the WTC final, where it's going to be played from June 7th to 11th, and 12th of June being the reserve date. It's going to be played in Oval in England. India were the finalists even in the last WTC, where India did not end up on the winning side. It was New Zealand who toppled India in that final. But here, once again, India would want to get into that final. India did not get off to the best of starts in WTC cycle this time around because India did go on to lose in South Africa. India had a tough start. India, after having that very good start in England, couldn't finish well, where the series became 2-2. Now, here, once again, for India, there presents an opportunity, and this is going to be very crucial for India. If India go on to win the series by a margin of 3-0, 3-1, or 4-0, that helps in a direct qualification into the final. Now, if India go on to just manage to win by a margin of 2-1, 2-0, then there also lies a possibility where Sri Lanka could be there with a chance to qualify into the final, because Sri Lanka will be traveling to New Zealand for a two test match series. If Sri Lanka get any result by defeating New Zealand there in a two test match series of 2-0, then there definitely presents a chance for Sri Lanka. And there's another team who's also in the race, that is South Africa. South Africa at this point will be really hoping that Australia defeats India in India, because for South Africa to make sure the points percentage come down for India, India will have to lose this series 2-0 or even a draw. That is, there also lies a small chance for South Africa, but more often than not, it is going to be a 2-1 defeat for India, which will help South Africa to go into that final, because they'll be playing a series against West Indies at home for them. But is that all? Let's talk about the series in depth. Now, when we talk about some of the major players to watch out for, who's that one player who's always done well against India and in India? One name which always comes in our memory is Steve Smith, who will never forget his innings which he played in Pune in a ranked turner, which gave Australia that victory in 2017. Now, if you look Steve Smith's record in India, it's quite good for a touring batsman. He averages 60 in India. His highest score is 178, and he scored 300s in India, including 150 as well. Now that's where he scored 660 runs to add to that. So that's where Indian bowlers will have a tough task of containing Steve Smith, the batter, because he really vanishes play against the turning ball. He has got variety of shots, especially using his feet against spin as one of his primary strength. And alongside that, the flick which he has of his legs against off spinners. Now here, alongside Steve Smith, there's another rising star who's really dominated Test cricket in the last 5 years. It is none other than Manas Labuschagne. Lamanas Labuschagne has had a prominent rise in Test cricket because he has scored everywhere and he scored runs, starting from that opportunity where he got in the Lord's Test match, replacing Steve Smith as a concussion substitute. Mal Labuschagne has not played a test match in India so far, but his Pakistan series was a fairly decent one. And now this is going to be his major test against a turning ball, against quality spinners like Ravindra Jadeja, Ravichandran Ashwin, Akshar Patel, and also Kuldeep Yadav. And that is from Australia's camp. And Australia in the first test will also be missing out on their two key pacers in Mitchell Stark and George Hazelwood. If there's any assistant for seamers, then of course Mitchell Stark and Josh Hazelwood can exploit it to their best. And that is where Australia will have to ponder on playing another spinner. There are rumors that young rookie spinner Todd Murphy might be making his debut on that Nagpur pitch against India. But on the flip side of things, for India, there are a lot of injury concerns as well because Shreyas Iyer is ruled out. There is definitely no Jasprit Bumrah, and Mohammad Shami hasn't trained for the last 2 days. So for India, the questions are definitely going to be who is going to replace Rishabh Pant? That's a primary question because Rishabh Pant has been India's hero against Australia in the last two Test match series where India trolled Australia for sure, and also playing that match-winning 89 in that Gabba Test match. But here the question is it going to be Kona Srikar Bharat, who has had a phenomenal record in terms of his keeping skills, or it's going to be Ishan Kishan? For with Ishan Kishan, the major issue has been his struggles versus quality spin and against pace. So India might not be risking that because having said that, in now if you have seen the Nagpur pitch, as you see on the screen right now, it is already looks like a pitch where it looks like there's a lot of rough on the left-handers end, and which means the pitch hasn't been watered on from the good length for the left-handers, which means Nathan Lyon will come into play a lot. India possibly prepared a pitch to assist spin and to basically tackle six left-handers, which might possibly start for Australia. And that's why India might not take that risk of playing Ishan Kishan and rather will go with Srikar Bharat, who is a very good player of spin as well. Now, when you talk about number five, because Shreyas Iyer has been an impact player for India, especially against spin in tough conditions. One of his best knocks came up against Sri Lanka on a ranked turner in Bangalore last year, where he scored a brilliant 96 by taking on some quality spinners of the Sri Lankan team. But here, once again, for Team India, one of the major questions is going to be Shubman Gill, who's in red hot form, who's going to replace Shreyas Iyer, or is it going to be KL Rahul, who can be coming down the order to play that role? Because you would want to play KL Rahul as he's your vice captain, and you would want to give him that run. And there's also another chance of Surya Kumar Yadav. Now, what is it with Surya Kumar Yadav? Because Surya Kumar Yadav, the player in white ball cricket, has been phenomenal. His record speaks for itself as well. But in red ball, there's certainly a certain amount of uncertainty as to whether he can be good enough against a quality opposition and against the turning ball because he's a very good player of spin. So that is a big positive. And you need a player to counterattack in the absence of Rishabh Pant to change the match for your favor in a session. And that's possibly one thing which Surya Kumar Yadav can do on its own. Until Shreyas Iyer returns, you need a makeshift player to be playing that role who can dominate spin. That's why India will be extremely inclined to go with someone like a Surya Kumar Yadav and give him that debut cap. Now, what happens if Shami is not fit? Because Shami hasn't trained for the last 2 days. Now, if Shami is not fit, there's definitely an opening for Umesh Yadav to walk into that team. He will partner Siraj with the new ball. And now the question is going to be who's going to be the three spinners. Now, whatever has happened over the last few years, you have to accept that Akshar Patel's record in India is outstanding. So you would want to go in with an Akshar Patel because his batting is also an added value towards latter end. And Ravindra Jadeja being fit, and he also picked up 6 wickets for Saurashtra against Tamil Nadu, which means he's match ready to go. And Ravichandran Ashwin is definitely there. Now his extra bonus with the bat, and he has really improved playing spin. So that is an added value into the team as well. Now that's going to be India's template, playing with three spinners and two pacers alongside the keeper batter in Kona Srikar Bharat. Now, what really happens if India don't want to win the series? Nobody would want to talk about it. That'll really raise a lot of questions, because this will mean, will India would want to change their leadership in test matches, because with Rohit Sharma being the captain of that test side, it was definitely not a long-term vision. It was definitely a vision which you wanted for a short-term period, where you wanted a transition take place. And also, this could be the last cycle where you'll be seeing a lot of the senior players. India started off this glorious era in test cricket from 2015, where Virat Kohli took over the head as a captain of the helm of the Indian cricket team. India dominated Test cricket in all conditions. Wherever they went, they gave it a fight. And now most of them are towards the latter end of the 30s, including Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli, Ravindra Jadeja, Ravichandran Ashwin, Chiteshwar Pujara. Um, Now is it time for the transition? Now, are you preparing the next crop for transition? Now, that's going to be a major question which India will have to answer in the test format, because at the end of this WTC cycle, then begins another 2 year cycle where you will be touring away. You'll want new crop of players to be inducted. And of course, there were questions prior to the series as to why wasn't Sarfaraz Khan, who was been dominating first class cricket, not selected as well. Maybe possible answer to that is Sarfaraz Khan might be given a go from the next WTC cycle, looking at the future. But here, once again, talking about the present, it is going to be India taking Australia in that high octane test match starting from Nagpur. And from there on, it's going to be a very intense battle, because there is going to be some exotic venues they're going to play, especially Dharamshala. Last time around, a test match was played in Dharamshala. It was way back in Border-Gavaskar Trophy in 2017, in that decider where India went on to chase 104 in that final innings against Australia in a very close contest as well. Now, I hope you all enjoyed this video and analysis on the Border-Gavaskar Trophy. So if you liked it, and do comment down below what is going to be the possible result of this series, and what is going to be the ideal score line as well. As Indian fans, most of you would want to see India go on to defeat Australia, and also who's going to be your player to watch out for from the series. So do like the video, subscribe to our channel, and also share it. And if you are an aspiring cricket analyst, you want to know how pitch works, how does numbers work in terms of team selection, you want to be part of an auction table, you want to work with your favorite franchise, do check out our course. The link is there in the description in terms of cricket analytics, and we'll give you a complete detailed course on that. Take care, all of you. See you all very soon.